Let's take you live now to Pietermaritzburg in KwaZulu-Natal. And Taresh Harreeparshad, our SABC news reporter, joins us. Taresh, good evening. The investigations that we've just been listening to are just one part of the story. You are focusing on how business is turning things around. What's happening where you are?
Well, a very good afternoon to you and everybody watching The Full View today. Well, the city of choice, what have been the choices over the past 365 days? Well, what we know at this stage is that the country, counting the costs and still reeling from the devastation of the July unrest that ravaged through the nation last year. Walking along the streets here in Pietermaritzburg, you get a nostalgic sense here of the people as they did a year ago, leaving work, leaving the city, going home, only to have their lives changed forever. What we know, and I'll remind you of that, cost about 50 billion rand, decimated to the South African economy by the aftermath of the July unrests, and what it has left into the pockets of areas like Pietermaritzburg is a huge dent that many are concerned about exactly how they're likely to fill this. So we're here today to find out exactly what is the lesson learned and exactly what is the way forward. The whole day we've been talking about what happened a year ago, reliving those memories, talking about the impact it has had and the scars it's left. Well, what's the way forward now? Well, to take this conversation forward, I'm joined by Melanie Veness. She's the Chief Executive Officer of the Pietermaritzburg and Midlands Chamber of Business. Melanie, thank you very much for your time today.
Hi, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Yeah.
So, 365 days on, and you look at the devastation caused by the July unrest. When you try and assess it, how far have you come since that time?
I think that we've come quite far in some instances, and in others we won't recover. So, there's a lot of small businesses in town, etc., that haven't ever reopened again. They just didn't have the resources to do that. But others are still building. Our big store, Macro, that was totally gutted and ruined, they're busy building a bigger and better store. So that will be wonderful for Pietermaritzburg when it is actually built. And then Edendale Mall, that will come back in time, not quite as big as it was before. Brookdale's rebuilt. There are a number of businesses that have rationalised, so we lost a lot of jobs, and I think that's probably one of the most painful things. And then I think there's a need, if we are to give business the kind of confidence to put money back in here, there's a need to see some sort of accountability. We're a year down the line. The question that we have to ask is either there was definitely a group of people that were behind this, that orchestrated it, and our intelligence services either don't know, which one is asked why don't they know, and if they do know, why has there been no accountability? We were promised that the perpetrators were known just after that, and yet nobody's appeared in court as far as we know, and there's been no accountability. So that doesn't bode well from an investment perspective. I think one of the things that we have learnt is that in that time, it actually inadvertently brought community and businesses closer together, because community realised as it unfolded that those shops that weren't attacked needed to be protected, and so they stepped up, and it was wonderful to see communities like Sweetwaters stand with the community from Hilton and guard the shops there, because they knew that was the shops that they got their food from. So I think it takes everybody coming together to ensure that this doesn't happen again, and I think community will step up. I think there's also a realization from people that there were so many jobs lost, and the distraction meant that now I have to travel really far if I want to get my groceries, and taxi fares have gone up so much. So actually the poorest of the poor are the people that were worst affected by what unfolded last year, and obviously if there isn't a complete rebuild and our economy doesn't recover entirely, then clearly those people will not be reabsorbed into the economy. So We do need to stand together, and we need to rebuild the city and its surrounds to ensure that we have a better life for everybody that lives here.
One of the big focuses, and I think the chief one, being to reignite the job market. Some estimates telling us about 150,000 jobs affected here. The big buzzword coming through from a lot of experts, a lot of authorities, and even government is that while investment has been deterred in a space like this, they're optimistic that it can be regrouped. Are you confident that there's enough push and enough attention here to make Pietermaritzburg more viable for investors going forward?
Look, I think it's true to say that there's hesitancy to reinvest because of what happened last year, but load shedding and infrastructure failure are a far greater risk to our economy at this point in time. We need to ensure that we get our infrastructure right so that the operating environment can be conducive. And that's really what business asks for. We're not looking for anything exceptional. We're just looking for a safe environment with decent quality services, water, electricity, decent roads to drive on, and then business will do what it needs to do. We're ideally situated just outside the Rust Belt, quite close to the port, and so we attract a lot of metals. We have particular advantages here. Our private healthcare sector has grown enormously, so there are opportunities here, certainly, and this community is phenomenal. That's the one thing that I must say. Every time someone comes to Pietermaritzburg, they say, the people here have so much heart, and I think it's that resilience and that heart that will see us rebuild this economy.
Well, Melanie Veness, we thank you so much for your time.
You're very welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
So there you have it. The big focus here now becomes how to make the city of choice the choice for investment. And this becomes a major deliberation here a year on from the July unrest.